focus. Losing your focus, I'm praying when I slow this.
Holy cow, buddy.
So I recently decided where to go for my drone flight review. It was basically all the factors I mentioned before, trying to find someone who hopefully is trying to make it, I guess, easier for recreational flyers and stuff to fly the drones and so forth. So finding someone who's open-minded about that, not anyone who says, you know, everything as is great, every flyer should be restricted and so forth, like in that commercial type of way. Don't ask me specifically who and all that, maybe I'll tell it in the future, but for now, I guess the person doesn't want to be bombarded with all these requests and all that. So with that in mind, I guess it's about preparing for the actual flight review right now. I'm actually not too concerned about flying the thing in general, because for the most part I've been practicing it virtually every day. Doesn't matter like what situation you give me, I'm pretty sure I can fly it. And for the most part it's mostly just the pre-planning, like looking at the airspace, what's going on, is it basically going to have a flyaway, what do you do in that situation? So I thought what might be interesting was me to just post my thoughts and stuff like that, like what I'm going to use, I guess, like for my actual flight review. I'll do my pre-planning, my research, and maybe you guys can go along with me. So for those who have done it before, you can chime in and say, oh, you forgot this, for example. Or for those who haven't done it before, maybe you'll give you a step in the right direction for your actual tests. Because for the most part, it seemed like there are some, I guess, misconceptions as well. I mean, for the most part, it seems like everyone's still learning about it. So for the test itself, it seems like from my research, this is basically being done on private property and it's in a Class G airspace. So that should make it a lot easier. And I was basically trying to see from where you're flying, are you inside any potentially, I guess, hazards or anything like that? And apparently within the area you're flying, you're actually within an aerodrome, a registered one. And it's this one here, the CSK-8 Surrey King George Air Park Airport. I actually remember this because usually for things like those Groupons, you can buy like these, I guess, flight tours. And this is actually one of the places you could do it. I was actually thinking about it before, but it seemed kind of expensive. So this is really the only thing immediately that I basically got the information from Sky Vector. You can see all the details, like what the aerodrome traffic frequency and stuff is, the irregular shape, etc, etc. Now for the situations of a flyaway, I was looking at everything around the area, and from where I'm flying, theoretically, I was thinking for the Mavic Pro, since they say it lasts for about 27 minutes, if this thing literally screwed up right from the beginning and just kept flying straight, it should go a maximum of 10 kilometers. So I kind of planned this little map here in the Google to see where could this thing end up. And there's no way this thing should even end up anywhere close to, like, say, those airports and stuff like that, like in the actual vicinity or the helipads around the area. That's just from my actual calculations and stuff anyways. And it seems like I checked the NOTAM, like the Notice to Airmans, and the only thing that might be around the area, if I did it within these dates, it says around here in the Boundary Bay, there's apparently like some kind of aircraft demonstrations, it says, and so you're not allowed to fly within that little circle. But realistically, I shouldn't be flying there, and if I am, basically something happened, like say a flyaway. And to my understanding, if you have an emergency, you should be contacting the Emergencies and Incident Reporting, correct? Basically 1-877-992-6853. Feel free to give me any notes and stuff too, because again, this is just from my understanding on how you're supposed to do this, like in terms of flying this thing commercially and what they expect you to do, like during the flight exam, to have everything prepared and all that. So for my site planning so far, it seems like the main issue would just be that King George Aviation area. And you would want to, I assume, like phone in if you have any questions in terms of how they operate or anything like that, because I would assume for the most part it shouldn't be a big deal from how I'm going to fly it, where. I mean, there has to be something catastrophic happen for that thing to even go crazy. But then after reading this and doing my research, it says here, after 36 years, Surrey Air Park tenants given 2 weeks to vacate. Owner says it will be more lucrative to plant blueberries on the land, while flying enthusiast says the closing of a small private airstrip will make it difficult for the average worker to afford to fly his own plane. And to clarify too, this article was written back in April, and it says the King George Air Park has been given an order to vacate the land by April 26. So in reading that, doesn't that mean technically all the information is kind of irrelevant for this, I guess, aerodrome area? Like I should just treat it as if I'm flying in a 100% full class G, so to speak? Because again, with where I'm flying, there's no way that thing should even reach even close to like the airports or the helipads. Like the only way that would happen is that thing screwed up right from the very beginning and flew straight for the full battery cycle. And that would even just get to the very tip of an airport zone. So for all this information, just in terms of the airspace and everything like that, would this be enough like for the actual exam? Because I would assume for the most part that is. For how I'm flying, for example, in the private property, which this is a Class G, I should not be going way over, because since I'm using the Mavic Pro, that thing's not qualified to fly over people, for example, so I can't exactly just go crazy. If it does happen, that would be like an emergency situation. For example, what's your procedures for that? Like how to kill like the drone, for example, if you need to and it's safe since it is just a big open field. Or if it catches on fire, do you have something to extinguish it with? Or is that not enough where they would want you to read like the Canadian flight supplement, which actually costs money? Like for the emergency number, you should only be contacting that one line, correct? I don't think you want like to list necessarily everything, like, oh, there's that helipad that's like, 12 kilometers away, the airport that's 15 kilometers away, etc., etc. Like you wouldn't want all that details, correct? Am I missing anything in terms of, I guess, preparing for the type of airspace I'm going? And then afterwards, it's just about flying the actual drone, doing your pre-flight checks and all that. And I guess informing if you have like a crew and stuff like that, what the procedures and stuff are. And to my understanding, you could make the flight reviewer your visual observer if you wish. Although in this case, I guess one of the thing is, apparently you're supposed to come up with a flight plan. And I'm even thinking in my mind as a joke, a lot of my flights, like for my vlogs, I just fly straight up, do a pan and go straight down, but I don't think that's what they want for like a flight review, correct? I mean, I can fly it any way. For example, I even have videos where I followed that fast flying modeled aircraft, for example. But that brings up some points, because someone was actually joking to me, like an actual flight reviewer, where if he did the flight review with me, he wouldn't even care too much about the flight. He's like, I'm not even gonna bother too much, because he watches my videos, like I know he can fly. Whereas I know one of you guys said, for example, in your flight reviews, you had to fly in an ATTI mode and all that, or maybe like sports mode. But from the place I trained with, the ground school, they said there's nothing in that regulation or guideline that says the person must fly it like in, say, ATTI or sports mode, because not every drone has that feature. So really, it just comes down to the discretion of the reviewer, like what the heck do you want? Maybe they want you to like do like orbits or whatever. Maybe this guy wants you to fly super fast, stop, or I don't know. Like at that point, I'm not really sure. I know one of you guys also mentioned that what you didn't like about the test is because you read somewhere that to do the test, you have to use a drone that's qualified to fly in every situation. So in the restricted zone, near people and over people, to my understanding, that isn't the case. Like you could just use like the Mavic Pro, to my knowledge anyways. Am I missing anything? Anyone confused about something? I mean, to me, it seems like I should just treat it right now as if you're going to some farm and filming a big open land, literally. That's what it seems like this is going to be like. Maybe you see something that notice to airman and so forth, or around the area there's an obstacle or something I should have been aware of. That'll be interesting to hear anyways, because again, I'm learning it as well as many other people as well just to do this. The squirrel looks like it lost an eyeball. thing. It looks like it was looking for help too, but it walked away somewhere. All right, see you guys later.